I like to say this to a lot of my entrepreneur friends that the new age growth hackers, people like you, are the apex predators of the startup world. It's no longer the CEO, no longer the investor. You can't achieve stuff like 4 million in 20 months unless you are doing things differently.
If you think about it, we get more than 2,000 free trial signups a month. And then Heyreach, cold email tools, whatever, are used to reach out to those people. So say that there's a free trial signups, a very good sales team with a lot of potential. Our accounts has like a flow, reach out, connect with them on one-on-one, hop on a call, human-led onboarding flow. The first lead I ever got on LinkedIn happened when I had 500 connections. You don't necessarily need like a big LinkedIn profile.
If you are the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, change the room. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, and you're living by it. Hey, Vuk, so good to see you, man. I welcome you to Edbound with Kinner. Eagerly looking forward to hear your thoughts about GTM and a lot of more.
Thank you for the invite. I'm really happy to be here and fire away.
Awesome. So, Vuk, I have become a fan of Heyreach in the last few months. I actually discovered the product, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago. And, I had seen it a few months ago, but then I've just been reading rave reviews of how people are kind of skipping outbound emails and just jumping onto Heyreach because this is much better in terms of the open rates and so many other things. But I would love to begin with, I would love to hear your one-line pitch that you would tell somebody who's just heard of Heyreach, does not understand it, what it does. How do you pitch your product? How do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, that's always good to hear. And thanks for saying it. Like, it never gets old. I guess Heyreach is a platform that allows you to automate LinkedIn, kind of automate the boring, repetitive tasks so that you can focus on the most important things like crafting your message, and we'll handle the sending, scaling, and everything in between.
Awesome. What's your background? Like how has your entrepreneurial journey and your entire journey through the startup ecosystems been?
Yeah, long story short, I started as a copywriter working in an agency. Shout out to my first boss, Goran, who was amazing and who kind of opened the world of marketing to me at a very, very early stage, I guess. And then I jumped into the startup world, kind of went to a few startups and moved through the ranks from being like a copywriter to marketing team leader and similar roles, I guess. I worked also at Lemlist. I've been their first employee, back in the day, and we went from almost zero. I think I joined around 12K MRR, something like that, and we went to 13.5 million in ARR. I've been their head of growth, then a couple of other startups, my solopreneur agency, and as of January this year, CMO of Heyreach. I guess like so far, marketing's treating me really well, and I am very fascinated by the world of inbound in general, all this like branding, user acquisition, user retention, and so far so good. Can't honestly, complain. There's been obviously like ups and downs, but like any story.
No, fantastic. And I like to say this to a lot of my entrepreneur friends that, the new age growth hackers, people like you, are the apex predators of the startup world. It's no longer the CEO, no longer the investor. I think the amount of miracles, the number of things that you can move and shake in startups is just unbelievable. And you have all the power, man. I'm so excited talking to you, right? I want to learn so much and kind of so many questions bubbling up in my head. So I know that your experience is not just limited to growth hacking. And I want to kind of come to growth hacking just in a little bit. I think one of the key results that Heyreach has been able to achieve, which is, they grew to $4 million in just about 20 months. Is that the right number?
A little bit shorter than 2 years. Yes, 20 months.
Yeah. And it's not just growth hacking. Were you also, as someone who's so keenly looking at the domain of marketing, who's been at Lemlist and, all these other legendary roles that you played, did you play any part in the product development as well?
If you take, for example, Heyreach, I didn't participate in planning the first variation of the tool. Meaning, they had already like a product. They've been around 15K MRR prior to bringing me as their growth consultant. I've been their consultant before I joined as a CMO. So I'm more participating in a sense, okay, we have the base product, the engine. How do we then, figure out the roadmap, connected with the ICP, connected with what's going on in the market, that type of stuff. I'm always involved. Even when I was a junior, I really tried to pitch in as much as I can. Not because I guess I needed to have like my say, but more because it's an integral part of the marketing. The better you understand the product, the better you understand how it differentiates from what's already on the market, the better you can as a marketer, use the language, use the, create actionable content. Like you're able to kind of walk in the shoes of your customer. And that's why I think like marketers in general, no matter how complex sometimes is, should always be the users of their own product and participate in development and roadmap as much as they can, regardless of the position, like literally regardless.
Yeah, yeah. No, you've kind of opened up a lot of questions from what you just mentioned, and I would love to ask you. You've been a proponent of inbound, but Heyreach is completely outbound. So before we kind of jump into the reason for that, let's hear your thoughts. Like, have you completely changed sides now? Are you a bigger proponent of outbound now, or would you still say that a mix is
Yeah,
required?
I get that question all the time, but no, like as a marketer primarily, like I'm a guy who uses inbound channels. I also collaborate a lot with sales. So there's like a lot of, for example, at Heritage, there's a lot of inbound led motions that also have a little bit of outbound. I'm just like an inbound marketer operating in the outbound industry. And so it's not necessarily one against the other. And for some, I guess, Zen reason, I've never been like a big trade-off guy. There's always like these choices they kind of offer you. Do we want to do like inbound or do we want to do outbound? Do we want to go for this ICP or that ICP? I'm like, can you balance both sides of the force? Like, can I take the best out of both worlds? And, to your previous point also, like, I look at it from the perspective, yes, there are important roles. Marketing is an important role, but so is sales, so is customer support, so is the CEO, so is the CTO. And so let's figure out a way as a team to kind of win. And I know it sounds like fluffy, but when you get into the position of having everybody kind of play their part, it's beneficial for all channels, including inbound. Like, for example, there's multiple active LinkedIn profiles from our team from different departments, and they all are copywriters in a sense, owning their own profiles. And that's like a big part of our growth, and it's increasing month over month. But in general, like I'm just the guy who uses inbound channels to, I guess, grow attention, revenue, expansion revenue, and stuff like that, primarily using inbound channels. But I'm the first guy to tell you that I'm prepared to do literally anything for a company to succeed. Like if I'm supposed to bring water to customer support, and this is very, very important, I'll do it. And if I had to, I don't know, like do the most important campaign in the company, I'll do it. It's not like, binary, but in general, it's just like my love for inbound and the fact, communicating one to many. I like these motions and channels, and that's where I'm mostly focused.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's talk about the playbook,
Yeah.
because I think that's always my favorite question. Because people who listen to us, they want to learn, how did you do it? Can they apply it within their startups? Can they use it for their growth? You mentioned you combined inbound strategies for an outbound startup. Now, let's hear about the playbook that you used to get it from 15,000 MRR when you joined to this remarkable number. What were the things, if you could elaborate for us?
Yeah, so it will take time. There's like a lot of things outside of just marketing. So number one is when we started in 15K MRR, it was the positioning. Like where does Heritage belong in the market and what's the ICP? And so that was the time where they kind of focused mostly on lead gen agencies and focusing the narrative towards them. It's kind of like nicheify down. Everything else kind of followed. The pricing model was adapted to agencies, and the pricing model itself became like a differentiation and communicated directly to agencies, which kind of allowed the first inbound channel, like it was attractive enough so that we don't always have to hop on a demo for an agency to kind of come in. And so this is the number one thing you need before you even start thinking about inbound. And the second thing is, the product market fit begins with, okay, user acquisition, but also user retention. So me signing up thousands users who churn after a month, that's not product market
Oh,
fit.
yeah.
Product market fit is if they stay for like longer time, use the tool and win with it. And so once you have the confirmation that we have the right product, the right differentiation features, that we've nailed the language towards our ICP, we know who we're targeting, and they are having these wow moments and kind of winning with the tool, I now have the essential cards to then start playing the inbound game and obviously like collaborate with sales on the outbound. Primary channel for Heyreach in terms of performance has been word of mouth. But it's always like this mythical thing. Okay, like word of mouth. How do you kind of build it? What does it mean? And etc. But because the product,
I think it comes at a scale, right? I mean, word of mouth doesn't work till you've cracked maybe your first 100 influencer sort of customers. So I want to hear about the inbound. I think you spoke about some golden words, ICP, and finding the right product market fit. And I think you went after agencies. I see that in the product as well. The white labeling and that 999 plan that you have, that unlimited domains, it's just a master stroke. I was so impressed. Very few products for agencies kind of focus on an offer like that. So brilliant strategy. What was the first thing you did? So, okay, you fixed all of it. I want to kind of drill down a little bit. Let's talk about the first thing that you did after you fixed the language and the positioning and decision.
Yeah, so you kind of focus on, okay, so what are the channels that we have at our disposal? So now we have agencies kind of signing up. And when we changed that, even at 15K MRR, Heyreach there were some early signs of word of mouth. Like, for example, lead gen agencies in general are posting actively on LinkedIn. It's part of their branding. And so the thinking and the logic behind it is, if they win with the tool, they will, start posting content about how they're winning to attract more users.
But it's a bit of a secret for a lot of guys. They don't want to tell how their agency gets it done, right? And white labeling is sort of that trick.
Yeah, but I don't think it's not like secret. For example, I share 90% of things that happen in my world. I can't share 10% because I have yet to receive the results, or I'm, like close with my NDA or whatever the case may be. But I can tell you about my campaign. Hell, I can show you the template. Like, you can copy it, but I will always be adapting my template. Like, I can't just use the same template over and over again. And if I tell you how I integrated different tools, I don't mind, because in the long run, I'm building my reputation, and my authority that I built over time will help me generate users, because they will say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He understands our pain point, and I trust him to pay him to do outbound for me. And so a lot of agencies, and I guess like the world we live in at the moment, is people actively share about it. And so if you think about it, this kind of started this thinking of the growth square loop, which is the model I kind of use in Heyreach. So, it starts with, you have like channels that bring people to the website. And so the first thing is they sign up for a free trial. Once they sign up for the free trial, the battle is activating key features and just, coming to a realization, hey, I like Heyreach. It gets stuff done. Boom, I got a reply. Then there's this wow moment. Okay, this works. It brings me leads. Whether it's like a lead gen agency or a sales team or a GTM operator using the tool, it doesn't matter. It's the same, effect that they get. And so now the battle is helping them, win continuously, not just only after one campaign, but kind of continuously. And there are specific initiatives to help that. And so if all this works well, people will share it publicly, which is the first kind of thing to have if you're considering building kind of word of mouth. And so the channels that, after we kind of nailed the positioning and everything, we optimized the entire website. There were outbound campaigns running. So we kind of switched, first and foremost, the targeting. Who are we targeting? How are we targeting it? Ilya, who's our chief revenue operations, started the affiliate program as well, which kind of started to work reasonably fast.
Yeah, it's quite healthy, actually. 30% is not that common.
Yeah. Like, I like the fact that it's generous, and I like the fact that it appreciates everybody. So if you get a message from like a smaller player who wants to be like an affiliate, I like the fact that we're not just focusing on big players only, but everybody gets like an equal opportunity, as long as, we agree on things and both sides deliver on it. And so there's like a lot of feedback coming from partners, and we're adapting and changing tools all the time. But that was one of the channels as well. And then we started some early content, mostly on LinkedIn, and a little, mostly on the blog, and a little bit on LinkedIn. And so these were, I would think, like the first moves. But what I realized in the numbers is there's like a lot of word of mouth and direct traffic, branded traffic coming in. And so now you're kind of, the next channels you want to add should play on that. Of course, you want to build like non-branded with SEO and everything. It's not like a binary thing. But if word of mouth has this insane potential and it's bringing in the numbers, let's then figure out ways to kind of more scale it. And there's like thousands of other channels that we added in the meantime for it. But that was the beginning, And prior to changing all of that, Nikolai, as the founder, and his team back then, they also went through the AppSumo stuff. We had a lot of users who kind of gave us feedback. Some agencies were part of the AppSumo program and things like that. So those were, I would say, like, not so original, but still very effective ways that we kind of did it in the early on. But the primary thing why it worked is we really understood the agencies deep, And we made that shift in every department. So the product team started developing features exclusively for them. And the more users kind of sign up, the more you promote those features, the more you educate, the more they post, the more then you can have some content to share, etc., etc. Outbound as well. If they see an agency like Cold IQ using Heyreach, this brings a lot of credibility to the story. And so there's these were the things that kind of help us break through in the agency world.
Now, when you talk about inbound channels, which are the most effective ones working right now? So if I had like a founder, two people team, they wanted to use your playbook. So tell me from your perspective, which ones are working for you right now and what would you recommend?
Organic ambassadors are the best, like motivating users in every way possible to share about it, but they do it even before we get to the motivation part. But that's the primary thing. Like we have hundreds of mentions on a monthly basis because
How do you push that? How do you push those mentions?
you push it by helping users. Primarily, the focus of it, at least with product marketing, is making the tool as frictionless as possible. So removing any stuff that kind of slows them down to getting a result, developing integrations, and then promoting those integrations through whatever channels you can. So making sure that the product is sticky enough. And on one hand, it helps us win. And on the other hand, it's not like frustrating. It's not like, a handle on the door that you can't grab, even though the door is extremely important to open. Those are the two things I think that before any marketing strategy you really need to do. And so developing integrations like Clay, B2B, Trigify, Make, stuff like that, it's all that agencies and sales teams need. And so we need to develop those. And my job is to kind of ramp it up and tell everybody about it in every way possible. Then on the flip side, we started initiatives like Outbound Outliers, which effectively, if you think about it, like early on, resources and time are limited. I got to pick my battles as a marketer. We have a situation, to what I already said, was people are actively building their brand on LinkedIn. So, and you can see early word of mouth signs. Then on the flip side, we don't have a lot of actionable content. We don't have a lot of social proof. We only have company logos and organic ambassadors. So what's the one move that can kind of cover all these bullet points? And so I came up with this like outbound outliers idea, which is effectively putting users in the spotlight and telling the story how they crushed LinkedIn outbound. The story is not about them using Heyreach. It's not like a case study. It's more about them. And Heyreach is just like a part of the story. And so Outbound Outliers goes like we do a couple of these stories in a month together with users. Once the story goes live, we promote it everywhere. Now we have a very healthy network of over 50K people. And so it drives leads for our users. So we bring
What do you mean by this 50K people network, if you could elaborate?
If you take into consideration our newsletter, our in-app promotion, our LinkedIn profiles, and the strength of overall of our distribution, when we start to promote a specific playbook, there's more than 50K people that sees it.
And so that includes people who follow you on LinkedIn and like all the eyeballs that, that look at you.
So that includes all kinds of GTM and outbound players. And if I'm an agency and somebody wants to promote my stuff, there's a bunch of people who are having outbound issues, like challenges, that are going to see that. And if I see an agency who's running like a playbook that I want to run, but I have no idea how to connect it, we will promote the creator in this story, obviously through the authority, through content, but also with some links, that we agree on. And so every outbound outlier gets leads from it. Some get more, some get less, depending on the audience and what they sell, etc., etc. But that's what I like. Those are the type of stuff that make me really love marketing, because it's like a win-win thing. It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'll do the heavy lifting, and obviously with the team, with the creating content and doing everything, user has to. They send me this like extensive video about their campaign, what they're doing, what I can show. Is there anything that they want to keep classified, etc., etc. We do the story, and because the content is good, it's about them, not about selling the tool. They'll gladly share it on LinkedIn. If they share it on LinkedIn, even before they share it on LinkedIn, but just to give you like an example, I'm going to send them some swag. If the post goes viral, I always tell them like, if you cross this metric, we will, give extra rewards for it. And the rewards are also as, I would say, cool as the affiliate percentage. Like, it's not like I'm going to send you like a Heyreach branded cap and that's it. Like, we kind of constantly make these win-win scenarios in every way we could see possible.
Yeah.
It's actionable content. It's useful content for our existing users, for the leads that have yet to try Heyreach. So it kind of covers all angles. And so if you think about it, one content initiative ticks a lot of check marks. And that's how you kind of fuel word of mouth if you think about it. And the content is educational enough for me. If I never
Yeah.
use Clay, I can see, oh, you're using Clay this way. This is the prompt. Interesting. If I
You
do
also tap into the keywords and traffic that Clay gets anyways, which is massive. But yeah, it's a really clever idea. By the way, I am looking for instantly integration as well, which is possibly on the way. Because I mean, the idea is that one of the ideal things, I still have to implement and execute some of the funnels. I've been experimenting because it's just been about 10 days since I bought a paid license. And I think I would love to see how Heyreach can execute an entire workflow from somebody connecting me on LinkedIn. Maybe they don't reply to a message that I sent, and then the automation triggers an email on instantly, and maybe another automation, if he doesn't respond on instantly, finds his number from, let's say, Rocket Reach or Lucia, and then sends a WhatsApp message. I mean, hypothetical, right? But I mean,
you can do this. You can do this nowadays with an integration like Make. We
oh
have
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as a partner, we have some cool stuff that we can send your way, some extra credits and things like that. But if you decide to do it, like just shoot me a message.
I will, because I'm experimenting a lot and I want to figure out a way to make it an integral part of what we are doing. Make works. I mean, we'll possibly, kind of look at
Dude,
that.
with Make, you can do crazy things. Like
Yeah, yeah, no,
dig deeper. And there's like we have a couple of other connectors as well, if you prefer,
yeah.
Zapier, Publi, whatever. But there are like things that you can do with those tools are insane.
Yeah. So let's dig a bit deeper into your use of Heyreach for your growth. I mean, is Heyreach using Heyreach?
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. So primary usages, the way that we do is okay. This is, I think, what's beautiful about 2025 in general, the way that marketing and sales can kind of collaborate. And so, if you think about it, we get more than 2,000 free trial signups a month. With that number, there's like, okay, gazillion of leads. Now I need to be able, and this is why I love having Gili as a chief revenue officer. He's also obsessed with data, and we like to see how many total qualified leads that we get. Like, let's segment them. Tier one are agencies, tier two are sales teams, tier three are GTM, growth teams, RevOps, stuff like that. And so we can see the numbers across the buckets. And then we use Heyreach. We qualify those with the tools like Clay. You can even do it with Make, whatever the case may be. We also have HubSpot CRM in the mix. Everything kind of updates it. And so our sales team and accounts team can have nice data about all the free trial signups generated. And then Heyreach, cold email tools, whatever, are used to reach out to those people. So say that there's a free trial signups, a very good sales team with a lot of potential. Our accounts has like a flow, reach out, connect with them on one-on-one, hop on a call, human-led onboarding flow. Nice. You can use the same stuff. Like let's say we have 8 profiles plus the company page active on LinkedIn. We can use Trigify to have the audience that engages on our content, and we run the same qualification game blueprint.
Yeah.
So qualify this audience. Approximately the benchmark is between 5 and 15% of all the engagers are highly qualified. Multiply that by the number of profiles that are active, and so now our sales team has warm leads. Same stuff happens with the website. You have our B2B, and so this is the way we kind of use our tool. Inbound drives a lot of attention. Sales and accounts have their own flows to reach out with what was previously known as an MQL. It's still the same thing. They're just calling it different.
Yeah.
It's like a qualified lead for them. And so this is the beautiful thing in which you can have different departments kind of collaborating very tightly and on the same, and the way that primarily we use our tool. We don't do cold outbound that much just because inbound
Is quite a lot, which is the best position to be in. Talking about your inbound, and I want to understand one more thing there. What is the main primary channel that's driving top of the funnel leads, right? I mean, what's that?
a branded and direct traffic that's fueled by organic ambassadors, that's fueled by our active personal brands. So we're really active in posting, and combined with organic ambassadors who are also posting primarily on YouTube, some on X YouTube, primarily on LinkedIn.
So organic ambassadors, we can also call influencer partnerships, right? I mean, you incentivize or
Exactly.
kind of sign up with those guys.
There's a lot of like, let's say, initiatives in that. So one of them I mentioned, Outbound Outliers, it fuels it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All this stuff kind of increases branded search, it increases direct traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
All these
How
things,
about
all of these things.
How about when you talk about branded traffic? Are we only talking of, are you spending, by the way? Like, is there any performance budget for Google Ads or anything like that?
At the moment, no. We ran an experiment, I think that stopped in January or February, but it drove some results. But we decided to stop it just because the organic inbound is more than enough for the current capacities of the team, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So now the question for a lot of startups that hear this is going to be, okay, I don't have any followers. Let's say somebody says, I possibly have 2,000, 3,000 followers on LinkedIn. How would you suggest someone in that position with a decent product to be able to build the bulk of organic traffic and, what you've been able to achieve?
Yeah. So first and foremost, the first lead I ever got on LinkedIn happened when I had 500 connections.
Okay. How many do you have now?
I think it's around 11K. I don't
Okay.
know the exact number, but 500 connections. Back then, nobody was posting on LinkedIn, and I still, got the lead. Just want to illustrate the example. You don't necessarily need like a big LinkedIn profile. I mean, the bigger, the better, easier to work with, but it's not like a prerequisite of success. And I think what you got to do is break out the game. So, okay, I have 1,000 followers. What's stopping me from adding 20 connections a day? Every single day, qualified connections, and then starting to post, warm up, learn how to do better content, keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. So if you do 20 connections every single day, how many do you do in a quarter? How many do you in a year? If you
Yeah.
leave 30 comments every single day on active posts, you kind of start building authority, not just by creating content, but also engaging on other people's posts. How many, how big of an impression rate do you think you'll reach? But you do it every single day. Maybe you don't want to do weekends if you're like a family person, kind of chill out like me, but 5 work days, what's stopping you? What's stopping you from doing like 3 posts a week and just forgetting about followers? Just forget about it. Start posting, see how it feels, see what you feel confident sharing, see what you don't feel confident. If you don't have a lot of actionable results from your own career to let's say brag about, take a journalistic approach. Like, okay, I'm curious about how these guys play outbound, and I've analyzed how a company like Notion does X. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
position yourself as a student of the game. In the meantime, you get some results.
Wow.
You keep posting. So I think it's just like breaking these things down and making sure that you have a lot of, let's say, things that kind of boost your discipline, not just motivation, because LinkedIn ultimately is a game of discipline. But that's just like one thing. How can you motivate 3 other colleagues to do the same thing? So you're not going to the gym alone, but you have 3 friends to kind of do it together. How can you motivate your existing users to do the posting about with you? We recently started the creator program, kind
Yeah.
of like working with, let's call them like B2B influencers. We're still to see how this channel will perform, but you can maybe do that. Like if you have a healthy budget, rent a successful LinkedIn profile and use influencer as a service. So there's like many different ways in which you can approach the challenge, as long as you kind of connect it with the product and you connect it with the value that you want to give to a specific audience, I guess.
Wow. I mean, this is gold mine of powerful stuff, man. Thank you for that.
All right.
I think great idea. And these 20 connections that you mentioned, maybe we start with that number. And I know Heyreach, is it about 40 that you have the limiter connect on that, it sends about 40 and it recommends about 30? I mean, the beauty of Heyreach, I think you can automate all of this. So you can grow like 15, 20 accounts and within your team and have everybody as an ambassador. So one of the goals and one of the interesting experiments that I want to execute on, and I know that we'll have to develop a better content muscle for that. It's possible with AI.
Yeah.
How can we build a machine where AI bots are helping everybody, like let's say 7 accounts in the team or 10 accounts in the team, everybody getting great content in the morning, and they spend just 5 minutes using that info and that power to just kind of post out, right? So bots, agentic workflows doing all of that heavy lifting, and then Heyreach connecting into it.
Yeah. There are endless usages, but it comes down to, I guess, how you want to operate. Like, I like treating AI as a sparring partner. So the way
Yes.
I do it is I write the first draft, then AI with the specific prompts that I kind of, like, let's say, leveled up down the line,
Yeah.
but it gives you like some extra ideas. And then I take another stab at it, and it's my final thing. Like, I am a big opponent of letting AI, for example, take a captain's armband and do
Yeah.
for me just because there's no authenticity in it and it loses the Vuk stuff. It's more like it could be the most actionable advice ever, but it doesn't have the Vuk thing, which kind of I feel I want to have with my posts. Secondary, there's like a
Book
lot of
sounds like a superpower here. You just like, it's like it doesn't have the Iron Man suit. It's almost like that, right?
Thanks for that. But I think everybody has that. Like just change Vuk with your name. Everybody.
It's a cool superpower. Like, I mean, book. I mean, it's like Zoom or Flash.
There was a thing at the team building at Lamless. Just a funny story. Daria, so a person who's been in my team back then, she wanted to say effing great, but she said Vuking great by mistake. And then everybody started coming up with these like emojis and funny like word plays with my name. But anyhow, like I think everybody has that. And so the only thing, if you think about it, that AI cannot replicate, I think ever, are your authentic stories. And so AI can't do a joke like me. Maybe it can do a joke like Ryan Reynolds, but it definitely can't do it as me just because I'm not that famous for AI to understand it. Plus all the stories that I've been to personally, all the metaphors, comparisons, that's the type of stuff that kind of adds a little bit of authenticity to the story. And so I think this is the way I approach AI, at least in marketing. In sales, maybe it's a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, there's more repeatability there. So you kind of, like, I mean, let's say they call snippets, right? Or
Exactly.
I mean, whatever canned responses, that's another name for it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I hear you. Fantastic. I think this was wonderful because, what you just suggested is going to help a lot of people with not too many followers to start building this. So if now we extrapolate it for Heyreach and I ask you that, okay, you're now at like a $4 million, $5 million ARR.
So
the total number of accounts that are posting content right now for Heyreach on LinkedIn. I mean, how big is your team, by the way? I didn't ask that question. Heyreach.
Heyreach has, I think if you include the new hires, probably around 30 something people.
Okay.
If I counted the new additions approximately. Marketing team is pretty lean, for example. I only have three full-timers as operatives, one designer who's like, okay, a part of marketing, a part of product, and a lot of part-timers surrounding me. And I approach it a little bit like a hybrid mode in terms of like a team setup.
Yeah. But 30 people, how many accounts are actually the posting accounts, that utilize Heyreach?
Currently 8, and I'm working on motivating one more person to join, but they will be the boss, whether they want to do it or not.
So if I say 8 accounts, how many total followers would we have? Or how many millions of impressions are you able to generate? I think they're both separate questions.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't counted, for recent, like total amount of impressions and all of that. But if you think about it from the followers all together, maybe around 50K. Like nothing.
That's decent. Yeah. I mean, you're just about 6,000, 7,000, between 6 and 7,000 kind of followers per account.
Maybe it's a little bit above. Maybe it's like 67. Like I don't really, I never am glued to like the total number of followers.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
the growth.
I have developed this love for numbers and data, right? I mean, I like to dig in top of the funnels or any stage of the funnel. Now, okay.
But analyze, like suggestion, analyze, like I like the numbers too. Analyze the growth rate month over month. That's what I'm excited about. Like, okay, is my impression and my followers, like what's the percentage of growth comparing to the content and initiatives that we did? Rather than it's never a good idea to say it, but I'll never write a post. I'll just hit 20K followers and here's what it did. Like, it's just like, I don't like it. I like it more like, okay, my followers or my engagement has grown faster and here
and impressions are growing. No, I saw that with my account. I have an account with just about 12, 13,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I've seen, I mean, it's a decent number. But I made a few mistakes before I understood LinkedIn really well, so I had accepted requests from maybe about 2,000-3,000 would be just developers. So what I've learned now is the more relevant your ICP on the profile is, the better engagement. And Heyreach, I mean, some of the FAQ or other things, I can't recall where I read this, but the test algorithm or the test bucket for LinkedIn is that if your post in that test bucket has a certain engagement, it is shown to more number of people. So, the better related your audience is, the better your growth or engagement metrics is going to be. But
Oh
what
yeah.
I've seen is I've been getting like almost 100,000, 200,000 impressions almost on a monthly basis with about 15, 20 posts a month, so that's been the kind of number. But I mean, I'm seeing growth. I want to understand 2,000 trials. I'm just trying to, kind of understand that if you have like 8 accounts posting, and I'm sure you get tons of impressions and signups and trials from people who are on YouTube. You mentioned you have some ambassadors, influencer partners. So is LinkedIn trial rate real? Do you have trials converting from LinkedIn content, or is it only through YouTube, or what's the mix looking like?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is the most dominant channel in terms of like the impact. We have obviously some other stuff like kind of like referral traffic and stuff like that, other referral sources that are equally important. YouTube, we're building it, like it's delivering results, but it's in its early stage at the moment. But LinkedIn for sure, yeah. But the only thing with tracking it, it's a little bit tricky just because you can't attribute everything to it. So if you
Yeah.
analyze LinkedIn through like a referral motion, then I can see signups. Then I can see specific type of call to actions that kind of worked, stuff like that,
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
specific profile if I have a campaign. But most people don't come on our website like that. So they might see, like I posted yesterday, maybe about Heyreach or about something, book works in Heyreach, whatever. And then they might Google Heyreach, spelling it correctly or in a wrong way next week. And so it impacts the branded traffic. I can't see how the exact impact that it makes, but if the branded traffic is increasing, if the direct traffic is increasing, and I can see the engagement on LinkedIn growing, I'm willing to bet my salary that there's like a healthy correlation there.
Oh, absolutely. Top of the funnel awareness. You're generating awareness through the 8 accounts, all the impressions that you're able to generate. So there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
You mentioned referral traffic. If you don't mind just talking about a couple of things about it, how can somebody build it, and where have you seen success with it?
So let's say that you create like a lead magnet, and lead magnet can be accessed via a link. You promote that link via different channels. And so you see which channel, because you have like a UTM or whatever, you can see which channel and which promotion, the way you executed it, what content, what language, whatever has delivered most of the traffic. If you connect how many free trial signups, how many paid, this is the way you can kind of interlink it. If you have, for example, 10 influencers that you're sponsoring to create content, every influencer can have a UTM. Or maybe you track it in some other way that if you do, let me know. And then you track the impact of total influencer as an initiative and every individual influencer through a specific campaign. So that type of stuff. If you do like an integration and you agree with your partner, with the other company, this is the way we're going to promote it. You're going to use these channels. I'm going to use these. These are the links. And so then you can see how much did, I don't know, like make promotion got us in total, and how many did we get from make specifically, if you want to do it this way.
Did you get any from any other brand collaboration? Because I mean, the specific integration partnership.
Yeah, integration have been massive. Like Clay blew up. Trigify, very, very good. Make, I'm feeling it's going to blow up. We just released it, so it's too early to maybe share results. But
how does it blow up? I'm just curious to understand. So when you release a Make integration and you're promoting, you're possibly just riding on the keywords, hashtags, possibly laying down the.
you don't necessarily think about it. Like you don't necessarily want to do it just one campaign. Like think about it from the perspective of, I'm thinking about Make first and foremost quarterly. Like, okay, Q2, we have a lot of user feedback that wanted Make integration to happen. And so maybe these are the guys who are going to create top scenarios first. Maybe 50% of these guys are GTM consultants offering Make services. So we can come up with a win-win partnership with them and kind of scale content creating. That's one initiative that you can do. Maybe you can run a series of webinars, with Make power users in between, whatever the case. We've done this with Clay. And so we've done this with a lot of partners, Trigify included. And so the webinar is, very actionable. And then after the webinar, there's like a contest that has like a LinkedIn viral component inside of it. And so another initiative. Third initiative could be SEO content. If you see there's like a lot of spark. Fourth initiative can be YouTube. And so you have like a lot of things that you can potentially approach it. Maybe your partner is running ads and they're great at paid and you're great at organic. And so now you come up together. And so, like you have an influencer who posts maybe on LinkedIn, this gets organic validation. Boom, your partner comes and runs a paid on it. And so you kind of do it as the Batman and Superman type of stuff. And so there's like 100, this is B2B SaaS. Like probably it works a little bit different from industry to industry, but this is the way you kind of approach it. But if you have, I think like for me, it's always the number one place where I start is with the existing user base. Like because you're using Heyreach and because you trusted the tool, I'm going to go to hell and back to prioritize you first. And so if I have a lot of people interested in Make, I can hop on calls and I talk to users on a daily basis in general and just exchange ideas with them. Like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, what are you doing with your business right now? Oh, you're promoting Make? I've just, we released like an integration. As you know, we're thinking about this content initiative. You want to join? And then you kind of strike up a deal, whatever the deal is. And so that's the beauty of, I guess, integrations, because it gives you like a lot of potential angles to attack, right?
So you collaborate with the team that you've kind of built the integration with and try and utilize it, right?
Collaborate with everybody, I guess, except with the competitor.
That's a good one. No, I mean, it makes total sense. Now I think you just breached upon SEO. You were kind of mentioning about SEO. So my next question is about your playbook. Include SEO in the beginning. Is there any traffic? Because we haven't come across that. I mean, we're talking about LinkedIn and all of that.
Yeah. So
have you already started building anything there?
I started early as a consultant. I deployed one initiative that started bringing traffic and a little bit of leads. It was like a bottom of the funnel type of a play. And then I had to pause it just because I had some other priorities in terms of retention, onboarding, and product roadmap and things like that. And as a consultant, you have even more limited time. But when I joined full time, the first hire that I brought was like a content lead. So Bojana, she's now in charge primarily of the non-branded traffic, and we are investing in it. It's increasing, but it's still in its early stage, just because we have neglected it for too long. And so now she's kind of doing some interesting things, and the numbers are increasing, which is very, very cool. But this is like a 2025 play. Like I'm eager to see the results end of year. Obviously, I'm going to analyze it on a monthly basis, but the real, I guess, the bigger impact is going to come Q3, Q4 probably.
Yes. No, I think, like we all understand SEO is a long-term play, but I'm so glad to hear that you are kind of utilizing the entire playbook, as they call the whole bullseye framework, and, use all that you can in your arsenal. So you truly are a full stack growth hacker as they come, right?
It's a team effort. Like I wouldn't be like, Boana is smarter for me for SEO. I mean, I understand it, I can play with it, but she's just smarter, and she's gonna play the game better. And I'm there as, even though I'm like a team lead, I took that from Gary Vee, but I'm her employee. And so she's going to come and say, hey, for SEO, I'm thinking about this. This is what I need. Can we do it? And if the approach is correct, my job is literally just to fuel whatever she needs, challenge her from time to time, maybe, but do all these things and kind of do it like this. But without her, there probably wouldn't be any SEO. Without Bernard, there probably wouldn't be a creator program. Without, I don't know, like our YouTube agency, there wouldn't be YouTube in general that we're collaborating with. And I recently brought one part-timer social media manager to kind of take some things and kind of help us fuel social media as well, our company page as well, because I want to give the company page a little bit of a character and soul. And so these are all the things that, but everybody doing and kind of owning their stuff. I am a big fan of decentralization and delegation. The best, maybe most important KPI in that sense, if I should be the stupidest person in this team meeting, like if I have the smart people around me kind of playing stuff and owning specific things, that's the best, because the compounding effect will be the strongest. And my job is just to pull the strings here and there from time to time, help them and challenge them if I need to challenge them. And that's it. I am operational in some areas of marketing, but definitely not all. It's just impossible.
So this is such a great quote. Like I've heard people say, if you are the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, change the room. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, and you're living by it. So I think you can't achieve stuff like 4 million in 20 months unless you are doing things differently.
Yeah, and sometimes when you speak about it, it sounds a little bit fluffy. People don't know you, but after 11 years or how many in marketing and kind of leading different teams, it's just better. Like there's no ego in it. As long as you do the hiring right and the culture right, it's just it's better for us. There's this story, you probably read it, the King Arthur and the Round Table of Knights.
That's all. Please go ahead.
So he was there's a famous cartoon. There's a bunch of different movies about King Arthur, but in general, it was part of the Roman Empire, I think. But regardless, usually the king sat at the front of the table, like everybody can see him, everything. King Arthur wanted like a round table so that everybody is equal. And I was very, very into history when I was a kid. Obviously, storytelling was like an early sign for me, but I liked that a lot. And so the way I was reading those stories, and primarily thanks to my parents and family who kind of fostered those values themselves, I always had this approach. Like, you can never really hurt my ego or emotions if you have a better idea than mine. Like, if you have a better idea, let's follow your idea. And if I have to be a lead operator or like, I don't know, like a supporting operator, it doesn't really matter. As long as we win the game, this is all I care about. Individual MVP awards, being a famous marketer, nice, thank you, but they're not the primary thing for me. The primary thing for me is Heyreach being like a reliable, potentially the best, and the coolest tool out there. And so this is the ultimate thing I want, like a team trophy. And so that's why I think that sentence, you'll just, when you go through, and I had like a lot of mistakes managing different teams, like I can write a 1,000 pages book about it, but you learn.
We
And
all can.
yeah, and you understand that it's just better. It's better if you allow people to take the lead on the things they're supposed to lead, and not you being, the guy or the girl who has to have a yes and everything.
Wow, so profound. This, I'm getting a bit into your head, understanding what makes you tick. This is so lovely. I mean, it's a beautiful world in there. And my next question, I know we're kind of reaching the end of the conversation. What is happening in terms of your trial on social media? Like you're saying, you have some people posting there. Are you looking at other platforms getting as effective, or even giving you 50% of top of the funnel awareness from, let's say, Instagram, TikTok, anything else that you coming across now?
Yeah, so I really want to take YouTube to another level as a company channel, and I
Yeah.
want to invest. I'm just maybe a little bit lazy, a little bit out of time for my personal YouTube as well. So let's say that you have a company YouTube channel, but what if you have multiple channels? I already lived that life a little bit in Lemlist, and I know the power of it. And I'd like to think that I'm smarter than I was back then. So maybe we can play it a little bit
Yeah.
better. So YouTube is an interesting platform. X, or Twitter, however you want to call it, is another interesting thing to potentially think about it. I was never a raving fan of that platform. So personally, not sure. Like, I just don't think I have the motivation for that type of platform. But objectively, could be an interesting thing to do. Ads is an interesting thing to exploit, like even with huge inbound presence. Like, I'm curious about it.
Yeah, like RB2B. I just did a conversation with Adam from RB2B, and they have ads as one of the parts of the playbook. I mean, it just puts fuel on fire. It's like you've already got an inbound, and you've got all this awareness bubbling up about Heyreach, and you just put little trickles. I think YouTube is a great play for you because ads could really accelerate things. I would say that I think you should definitely experiment with maybe TikTok and Instagram. I personally feel a lot of marketeers would be on Insta as well, in a lot of parts of the world. I mean, the intention is different, but there are ways to enter their conversations through smart content, so it's a different muscle.
Definitely. It's on the list. I think it's maybe at the moment it's below like compared to the channels I mentioned, but I'd love to do Instagram. I would honestly love it. I just
So
think
check out this channel. Check out Dan Martel.
oh,
Dan is so Dan Martel. Now this is interesting. I think I followed Dan on Insta, and I liked one of the reels that he had posted. Now this is a playbook, you'll love it. As soon as I liked it, just in about 30 or 40 minutes, I got a DM. And the DM said, "Are you here for the content, or would you like to grow your business and I could help you with something?" Right? So this is a DM that I get. Now I'm curious. This is Instagram, and this guy, what does he sell? Like, how can he help me? So I go a little bit down the rabbit hole, and I understand what is it that they're talking about. And they end up booking a call with me on Insta, like give me a Calendly link for one of the guys in Dan's team and put me in a demo. So it's like equivalent to directly from Instagram getting you to get
smart,
a trial, or
smart.
a demo. I asked the team, I kind of try to dive in. So they look at every profile, liking their Instagram feed. If it is the ICP, because I'm possibly listed as an entrepreneur running a company, tech, SaaS, something.
Yeah.
And so it could become like a really powerful lead generation engine.
Yeah, and I would imagine you can probably run some interesting things with clay to enrich stuff. And things like
Pretty.
that.
Oh yes, I mean you could possibly. So ManyChat. ManyChat is another tool. I don't know if you've come across this.
I get.
Yeah, you pull the likes and comments and bring them into clay, enrich them, and then your team kind of does it on an autopilot. You push a DM through ManyChat, and you're kind of booking demos on
Yeah,
autopilot.
yeah. No. I mean that world is crazy. What you can do, but yeah, Instagram and TikTok, they can definitely work.
Yeah,
I just have to think about it, potential approach and resource wise. Like again, it comes down
yeah,
picking the battles, and I really want to do all the battles, but in terms of resources and time,
I know.
generally you always have to make like but I hear you for Instagram,
But
especially could be an
Instagram is sexy content. It's not the LinkedIn content. It's sexy content. If you look at Dan, he's almost jacked up like The Rock.
yeah,
I mean, if you look at his videos, it's a special type of content that not everybody can pull off. But yeah, I think it can kind of bring you
yeah,
results.
definitely, and ultimately, like I think employer branding can be like an important thing for those types of platforms as well down the line. And ultimately it also comes down to your, I guess, inner motivation. Like what do you want to do? Like I'm a type of
Yeah,
guy who never shares stuff from private life. I can tell you some funny blooper stories or some mistakes and things like
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
you're not getting in my inner circle that easy. Like there's no chance. I can give you like all the work stuff and maybe connect it with some stories from there, but personal things, like I don't want you to know it. Like it's my type of stuff, and I'll gladly show you if we become friends. So I think like ultimately it also comes down the point I'm trying to make is what do you want to do and are you okay with it? And so if we feel that, I don't know, we want to tap a little bit maybe into bigger world, then outbound could be an interesting path to take.
Yeah.
Or if we decide to do Instagram only for outbound, I have some ideas. I
So
guess I
how about an academy? I'm not selling right now, but an academy, right? I mean, I would love to collaborate and build an integration. We'll definitely explore and let me think about this. But I would love to kind of, look at a collaboration and build the academy out for you. And we have like
yeah.
tons of large brands using us, for their academy hosting. It could be, I mean, OpenAI just launched an academy, and I feel I saw this one video on the YouTube channel of Heyreach. I think it's a fantastic course. I think the title of that video is "How Did I Make 5 million through Heyreach LinkedIn outreach," something like that, right? I think it's possibly a collaboration that you guys have, the video on the channel. But I think you have tons of amazing content, and I would love to see an academy and use Edbound there, right? So fantastic. No,
Yeah.
thank you so much for the time on this call and sharing your playbooks candidly. I kind of loved it and learned so much. Love the way you think, man. It's just been an honor.
Likewise, and you probably started one more wheel turning kind of faster now for some social media stuff you said. So I enjoyed the conversation a lot, and I think like you can say that we're flying the friendly skies.
Wow, lovely. So good to hear that.